Welcome back to what maybe is the final episode of Arkham Origins on the NerdyChineseBacklog. I went the wrong way.
Turned to your right.
Oh, hey, look, there's a hole. Get in the hole. Get in a cutscene. So yeah, we just beat the shit out of Giant Bane. In what I consider... Sniper, no sniping. This is Deadshot. This is just a dope.
Ooh. Yay, Gordon. We lost. Killer Croc is out.
Also, Gordon just jumped down like from... What the fuck? Are you serious? We get a Gordon ally in this?
And he's terrible.
Well, okay, I'll be fair. I stunned him in that one, but...
I'm really surprised it didn't give you like the Gordon health bar. Like you gotta keep him alive during this because that's what all other games do.
True.
Escorts.
Oh, shit.
I do really like the martial arts because they cause you to, like, you can't button mash, you do have to, like, approach it
you have to be
more.
slower.
You have to be calm about it, really focus.
Come on. This, okay, I'll just wait for them then. Come on, Gordon.
Oh,
Damn, nice kick to the face. But he actually took that guy out.
he did.
Respect. Nice knockout, Jordan. Gordon. Towards the... Okay.
Yeah, there we go. Door magically unlocks itself.
Locked.
Okay, back up. Maybe go forward now.
Try it again.
Nope, so locked.
Is that where we came in from, maybe? Or no, we came in from up there.
Turn. Go back and look to. Oh yeah, that way.
Maybe here.
Yeah. Oh, he's in the chapel, isn't he? Yeah.
What? Okay. This just looks weird.
That's
like,
a very weird place to put a chapel.
Yeah, this looks
Also-
like... You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of... I visited, like... So I went to the set of Haunting of Hill House as it was like a Emory campus visit thing. This reminds me of how, like, the different parts of the house connected to each other, but they were never planning on filming those, like, connective parts.
Yep.
This reminds me of one of those.
Also, it looks like a satanic church.
Yeah, that's true, too.
This does not look like a...
Like,
nice church.
those didn't look like saints, they looked like demons. Now we're here in the church. This Joker is really expressive.
Yeah.
I think we discussed this before, though.
Yeah.
It's probably just the better technology. Oh god. Oh, I should have listened to the chatter a little bit more. I just jabbed the button because I saw a prompt.
Wow. That was a toss.
Yeah, he flew really far. Right now he's knives. Just have to...
Quick time event to fight.
Some JoJo.
That was weird.
And then it puts me back into...
Guys, keep going. I don't know what's...
Well, I kind of want to see how long this lasts, though, before I press X again. Look, the cape. You see that shit? The cape was moving in real time for a bit. Is this supposed to be, like, symbolic or something?
Dramatic.
Oh, hey, look, we got the Killing Joke achievement. Zoom in, go back and zoom in on that, Feature Hans.
That's Bane's move. That's erotic.
That's a little, I definitely wrote a line like that into my Batman Beyond spec script, which we may have talked about before.
I do really like that aspect where it's, like,
He sees
Joker
it.
views him as a monster.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, he doesn't see a man behind a Batman mask, he just sees a Batman.
that's bad gun safety if you're not planning on shooting it. Okay, never mind. It's something I'll never be able to forget after watching Pulp Fiction. Like, there's definitely, like, that framing is just really good of that shot where, like, you can see his finger in the trigger guard, and, like, it lingers on that just long enough for you to notice that explicitly, and then they hit the bump. And
some similar to that, but something that I think I'm, like, one of the few people who've caught it in the Die Hard movie. You know the scene where Bruce Willis hands Alan Rickman a gun?
Uh-huh.
When Bruce, like, they do a close-up where Bruce Willis cocks the gun. If you pause it, there's no bullet in the chamber. They put that shot in there explicitly to show that gun's
cool.
empty.
Interesting.
I love that bit. I mean, it's really interesting.
Well, there's also, like, regulations that prevent you, like, from actually putting that shit in the gun, like,
but
filming it.
but typically when you do, like, close-ups of guns cocking,
oh, really? I mean, like, I don't really pay attention to those.
But, like, if they do a close-up of gun cocking, they're not going to make it so obvious that that chamber is empty.
Okay.
Especially when it goes into a thing of that gun's not loaded.
Right, okay.
Because they do a really big close-up of Bruce Willis going.
Like, they make it clear. Okay,
They're
fair
making
enough.
it clear that there's no bullet in there that you
Solid.
only catch if you have seen the movie as many times as I have.
The best Christmas movie.
It is the best.
Did you see the trailer that the studio made? They made a Christmas trailer for Die Hard.
I have not seen that.
Oh my god, we're gonna watch that after these credits roll. I think, okay, so the credits are about to roll, and I think this is a good time for us to sit down and have, like, a serious discussion about, like, the design behind this game. Like, kind of sum up all the stuff that we've discussed over the course of this playthrough. So, I guess the main thing is, like, as always, it's the comparison between this and the other Arkham games.
Yes.
So I would put this. I haven't played Night, but honestly, like, out of the three that I've played, I'd put this third. Because I don't like the art direction as much. I think it has the same lack of focus that City did compared to Asylum with, like, the dungeons, the horror aspect. And that's the reason that those two kind of butt heads for 1 and 2 for me.
Yeah.
But, like, this one, as much as, you know, I don't hate, like, the new art direction, but I don't like it either. I don't like it as much as, like, the more gothic, slightly more comic booky version of the other two. I think this one's more poorly lit as far as, like, art direction goes. And I think this is going to come up again.
I forgot about this.
Oh, he sings a song?
The Joker singing.
Again? He sings one in both the other ones, too.
Does he really?
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. Well, but yeah, and I don't know, like, the boss fights, they're better than the boss fights in the other games, but I don't think they're good. There's a lot of this sort of, there's a lot of, like, we the developers want you to play this our way. We want you to finish the fight our way.
Yes.
Heaven forbid that you finish the fight, like, in a way that's not dramatic enough for our scripted version of this fight.
That's
which I
something the
hate.
Arkham games generally have an issue with. Like, some
This
boss
is true, I
fights.
agree.
But this one definitely.
But this one takes the last punch from you.
Yeah.
Which is the thing that I find the most frustrating.
This came out in a time, like a 5-year time span, where a lot of, like, AAA games, Shadow of Mordor was notorious.
Yeah,
for
Shadow of
its
Mordor was really about that.
the Hand of Sauron fight was.
The last
Sauron
one-
fight in general.
The last one was ridiculous. The last one was just like, do 3 last stands. If you lose one, sorry, game over.
Yeah.
Like, fuck you. Like, what?
This was the time where a lot they wanted boss fights to be dramatic.
Yeah.
So there was a heavy emphasis on
They kind of-
cutscenes.
Yeah.
Not cutscenes, quick time events, which is annoying. I personally like the art direction of this. I like that it's not as gothic and dingy and grungy. I like the idea that this is a younger Gotham before things have started to devolve and decay as much.
Okay, fair.
And I like it. I put it below City because I think City just was the most cohesive as far as, like, the world. It's not as big as this one, and this one, it does feel too big, and it doesn't know how to make up for that.
The city's world feels adequately packed with content.
Because Arkham City is only half of this map.
Yeah.
It is literally half. It's just
Literally,
the north,
physically
It's
half.
just the north
Like,
part.
Yeah. Copy pasted.
Yeah. But I felt like they did try to make up for the fact that there's not a whole lot to do in the map with just putting random enemies in there. That's something you noticed.
Right.
we didn't do any of the side quests, and I do like the side quests a lot. I like.
Yeah,
the
that's a fair point to make, that we didn't do any of the side quests in this playthrough. So that maybe makes it more interesting, but at the same time, I don't think like the plot implying that it all takes place in one night. Like there's so much content that it's kind of like I don't know. Like you can't keep telling me that this main mission is urgent and there's all this other shit going on. Like that's just a kind of. I think there's a better way to do it. I don't have a solution. But I think there's got to be a better way.
There are better ways to do it. I mean, it has been done better.
Yeah.
But I like this game better. I mean, Arkham Knight, you complain about the boss fights in this game. There are no boss fights in Arkham Knight.
Really? It's just mob fights?
There are mob fights, and there's also just, like, boss encounters. Like, the fight with Arkham Knight is basically, like, you take down some of his thugs, and then you get into a place where you can zip line up to his vantage point and land a hit, and then you do that shit over and over again.
Okay.
The Deathstroke boss fight in Arkham Knight is a tank battle. It is.
Oh my god.
It's terrible. The boss fights, the Man-Bat side quest is just, you wait until you see him, and then you dive bomb him and inject him with the cure. You have to do that 3 times.
Oh, jeez. So you just follow him around, like it's just a glide around.
Yeah. The boss fights in that game are pretty much non-existent, and the ones that you kind of get, like the most boss fighting one was Pig Valentine, and even then, like it's not really a boss fight because it is a mob fight with Valentine hiding behind the table, and you have to do a very specific thing to get across. You have to jump across the table to get to him. If you try and circle, he's like it's playing cat and mouse, and that is the most boss fighty of them that I remember. I haven't played the most wanted DLC where like you have Killer Croc and and stuff. But the boss fights in that were non-existent. It looked a lot prettier visually.
Right. Oh
it looks
yeah, I've seen the visuals are exactly what means that we can't play it on PC because it'll crash.
Yeah.
The goddamn.
But for me, I put Origins above Asylum because Asylum felt a little too contained. I did like the dungeons in Asylum better, but it felt like a City in Origins there was enough to do to fill up time. Like the side quest, the Bane side quest, the Bird side quest was alright. Penguin side quest was alright. The Deadshot, Shiva, and there was one other one, I think. Mad Hatter side quest.
Okay.
Those 2 were really good, and they were all very different. The Deadshot was much more of like detective.
Okay.
Finding out like how Deadshot pulled off these shots.
Right. It's like the Deadshot side quest in City.
Yeah. And then the Shiva side quest was fighting against martial artists and saving people, and then proving your worth to Shiva. So there was a lot of like focus on like
test your might.
Yeah. There's a lot of focus on like mob fights.
Okay.
But staying controlled during them, and like that like side quest teaches you do not hammer the X button. Like every time you hit a button, there's an intention.
Okay.
So like that, I really enjoyed that one. The Mad Hatter one was very trippy, and I think that was the first time you met Mad Hatter in this series.
No, Mad Hatter's in City.
Is he in City?
Yeah. He shows up for like one side quest.
Yeah.
It's like a trip, and then you're done. Like
yeah, and he shows up again.
It's like they needed 9 side quests, and they what?
That's the developing team, I think.
Okay, that's pretty cool, but like that looked like I edited that in video editing. Like, that was like really low res.
Yeah. That was.
Whoa.
I forgot about that. But I put this above Asylum just because there's more to do.
Okay, that's fair.
And I also do like the art direction of this because I do like the shinier Gotham before like the decay where all of the villains started challenging Batman and things started getting so bad.
Right.
Because I think the rise of the Joker is kind of like the indication that like this is what's causing Gotham to start falling apart.
He's like the Trump of Gotham. He's like the symptom.
Yeah, he's just causing so much havoc, and he's encouraging all these other villains. Like he brought in a whole bunch of villains from everywhere.
Right, he imported them.
Fuck up the entire city. And the shinier Batman suit, I do like the Batman suit in this one a lot. I like it that it's like shiny and new, and it looks pretty raw. Like there's not a lot of fancy stuff added. Like the Arkham City suit and the Arkham Knight
I actually think you could swap the suit from this one with the one in Asylum and City. Because the ones in Asylum and City look less armored, right? It's almost like he's more concerned with fear and deception are powerful, you know?
Yeah, but this one shows like the high armor shows like he's not as confident, I guess you could say.
I think you can make any arguments anyway with that though. Like,
but it's I do like the direction of this. I think it's different, which is why I liked it because you got a lot of dingy.
I agree. It's
grungy
different
stuff.
Yeah.
And I did like you got some gothic stuff thrown in there, and that was where like the art direction kind of got weird.
I just think the lighting in this one's just like it's not fun to look at. Like
honestly, the lighting in most of the Arkham
it's just
games
like a lot
is
of
not great.
Well, I mean,
Arkham
I don't know.
City's all right.
Asylum's like environmental design is really good because it's so focused.
Yeah.
It's so like tight and focused that the environmental it's just really on point. Like it's really hard to go back to because you can't, dive while you're gliding anymore. But I don't know. That's just kind of my take on that.
Arkham City's environments are better because there's so few of them. They can focus more heavily in them. This one they did kind of have to dedicate a lot of time.
I mean, I just don't like how everything's so yellow and white in this, Like Arkham, like the other two kind of go like, the steel mill is red. Like inside there's one building that's green.
This is very monochrome.
Yeah, and I kind of hate it because it starts to be hard to tell where you are.
I mean, I didn't have that issue when I first played. I think also you were kind of distracted from talking, and we were speed running a bit. Like I took my time and I stopped. I stood, like I would stand in place and just like look around and be like, all right, what's around me?
Environmental artist Will Smith.
He's a lead environment artist.
True. I mean that's Will Smith being Will Smith, right? It's got to be He's got to write his own. Have his writer write lines into the game, into the movie rather. Anyway.
So there are a lot of reasons I like this game.
My clapback to that is that you should be able to still tell where everything is, even if you're speedrunning it.
You should.
The environmental design should be good enough that, like, you should be able to know where you are and not get lost. I mean, no matter how you're playing it.
Yeah, I had that issue with City and Asylum too, though. Like, there were a lot of situations where I'd come through and I'm like, I honestly don't know where to go next. And I would have to stand still and look around for a while before I realized, oh, there's a tiny little vent on the other side of the room on the top of the ceiling that I didn't see that I had to go to.
I'll admit that across these games, moving forward using vents has always been like, when the path forward is a vent, like, fuck that shit.
And then one of the things, like, because these games have so many interiors, there's so many doors that lead nowhere.
Yeah, that's true.
So and they're all like they're trying to make
like
them look,
fake doors,
and they're trying to make them look real. So like all the doors are lit, but you're like, which door is the real door?
Fake doors, yeah.
So all of the games do have an issue. Like none of them are Uncharted level, where like you know where you're going just based on the level design.
Yeah.
So you could find that gripe in City, Asylum. I mean, you could find a lot of gripes in Night. Asylum's a bit more straightforward because it's
more linear.
Yeah, it's more linear.
Yeah.
And it shows you where to go a lot. But there were some sections in like the Asylum manor, because there were 15 different places to go, like the main manor hall.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Which dungeon?
Yeah, but there were a lot of times I went in there and I'm just like, I don't know which direction to go to first, and all the Arkham games have that thing where you go to one place for one thing and then fly back out and go across the map.
Yeah.
But
I will say this about this game. The thing that I think this game did better than either of the previous ones was the way it did enemies. We've talked about this a couple times. Mm-hmm. I think that introducing different types of goons, more than just body armor guys and regular guys and Titan guys and one-armed Russians. Like, as much as I like Titan guys and one-armed Russians, I think adding different guys that you engage with in slightly different ways is good. I do think they could have used more unique character design, and that includes the body armor guys. I've always had a problem with how the body armor guys.
They just look like they put pillows over top of themselves.
Yeah, it's not super obvious. I think, a great example is the knife guys in Asylum. The knife guys in Asylum were exclusively knife guys, and they did a knife fighting pose, which made it easy to tell from their silhouette what kind of dudes those are.
Yeah.
Whereas there are a lot of situations in this, martial artists are skinny, but so are
martial artists.
They're not substantially skinnier than regular dudes.
To counter that, I would say the martial artists though do have a very unique stance. The way they stand is very wide. So from a silhouette standpoint, you could tell that it's a martial artist. The difference between knife guys, baton guys, and normal guys, that's very blurred because they are trying to mix those guys.
Yeah, they're all fundamentally in Asylum, in City. All those guys are all fundamentally the same guys.
They just
picked up a thing.
Yeah, and so they look. So you don't know if the guy picked up the knife until he's coming at you and you see the yellow flash above his head. which is annoying. The martial artists you can tell, the Venom guys you can tell, the big guys you can very
I
quickly
think
tell. It's just
the
you
Venom
don't know
guys are
there's
easy.
weapons.
The big guys, though, I think the big guys could have used like, and I don't know what it is about. Maybe just need to redo a model or something. But like something about the big guys made it kind of hard to tell what they were until you saw the red. I think.
Yes.
Like because they used similar textures or like I think giving. So I'm vaguely aware. I don't remember exactly actually. The more I think about it, what City did to differentiate body armor guys from regular guys. But if I'm not wrong, I vaguely remember all body armor guys had some red on their body armor.
Yeah. Or they had like because like the Joker ones had like
or
massive
the hats. Yeah,
there was always something to show that they were different.
Right.
This one,
I think
just body armor.
I think this one could use. First of all, like why didn't they copy that?
Mm-hmm.
But second of all, I think martial artists and big guys could have also used some identifying feature, like some colored identifying feature that tells you who they are.
The martial artists almost always had red gloves and red boots. If you go back,
That's pretty subtle, though.
That's just
you're right.
That's including the prison guy who only had the orange jumpsuit, which was very confusing to see.
Yeah, that entire prison. Okay, you know
those
what?
ones are mixed, but like when you met the martial artists in like just the
all of his black mask
they were
ones,
straight up red.
Yeah, they all looked exactly the same.
Yeah,
they were all black mask thugs. The big guys, I guess maybe this is just a criticism of the end game scenario. Then is like the end game scenario has a lot of enemies who all look the same because they're all wearing the same clothes.
Once they had the orange jumpsuits, it was very hard to tell. Like the big guy, I could not tell.
Yeah.
Until he tackled you and was standing next
like,
to the other
shit,
guys.
he's
You saw
actually
there was like a foot difference. That one was annoying, but like in the big guys you can tell in the normal game because they are never wearing shirts.
Yeah. That's true.
That's how you tell them.
They're always shirtless, and then there's the armored big guys that you can just tear the armor off.
The body armor guys, you do have to just rely on the fact that you see a helmet and white pads.
White pads in this?
Yeah, they are white pads.
I didn't notice. But like
Well,
again, that's a case of like the color not popping though.
Yeah,
like white's a color scheme color that like goes on everything.
Yeah, and white's all over this game.
Yeah.
There's snow. The people have coats that have white on them. It's
And
hard
the
to tell.
lighting's white. It's not like blue orange color color gradient.
So the body armor guys could have used better identifying features. The rest of them, and we also, to be fair, we didn't run into a lot of them until the end game because we didn't do a lot of like the crimes, the side quests and stuff where you do run into them. We did run into a lot of normal goons who caused a lot of issues because we didn't know what they were and you didn't know if they had a weapon because their stances with a weapon and without are basically the same.
Right.
When they're holding a knife, they go from standing back with their fist cocked to standing back with one hand, their knife hand slightly extended.
Yeah. I don't know. And okay, I feel like there's a decent amount of like eventually we had to come to this whole thing of like the fact that they clearly copy pasted like a good chunk of this from the previous game.
Oh, for sure. I mean, this game was to fill some time while they were working on Night because Night was such a massive deal.
Exactly. So I kind of hate that because like things like some wood textures are wood textures and some wood textures are concrete textures that you have to blast through. Mm-hmm. Like what you couldn't have just like why didn't you like there's so much going on there that I don't even know where to begin. Like
that was an issue in City and
in City you can punch through wood.
Some of it.
Most of it. Like if it's wood you can pretty obviously punch
in
through
Detective Vision you would see either a fist or an explosion and that will identify, but generally you can, but if you go through there are some bits like in the one Penguin Museum encounter there's a wall that's an explosive wall but it's plywood.
Oh really?
Yeah, that is something I don't like about the games overall. That comes
the sort of conditionality of like what you can punch through versus what you can.
The puncher ones are like really really thin plywood boards or like screens.
Yeah. Which
is annoying because especially Detective Vision, you were relying heavily on Detective Vision this game.
I always rely heavily on Detective Vision.
That's it. It was becoming a crutch for you because you would just see the thing illuminated and you'd be like, "That's I can punch through that," and then you're like,
"It's interactable."
Yeah, you're like interactable. I'll go punch through that, and you're like, "Oh shit, this is an explosive interactable."
Fair enough.
Yeah, it's.
Okay, these are some long credits. I feel bad like cutting them off though.
There is a post-credit scene as well, but it's not a really good one.
Okay.
It's something big.
Well, but now I need to see it. you can't just tell me there's a post-credit scene and not expect me to watch it.
There's a lot of people. I don't even know what section this is, but there's a lot of people working on it.
Maybe it's QA. Or maybe it's... No, well, I feel like if it was QA, then they would have caught some of that stuff, like the dudes flying 30 feet into the air when we punch them.
They might have pulled up Bethesda and just been like, hey, you know what?
Leave it in.
Like, if the giant hits you and you go launch 50 feet in the air, sure, why not?
Dude,
I try not to, like in all my articles I post on
blog.
NerdyChineseBacklog, I try not to bash Bethesda too much, but they are the studio that
Bethesda.
Yeah, they are the studio that everyone loves, and I'm just like, they are mediocre.
I agree. No,
I want to play Rage 2 because that looks good, but
dude,
like
we should
Skyrim and Fallout.
We should play Skyrim on this because I've never played Skyrim.
I played it like 3 hours, and I have to put it down.
We did do a long play of Fallout 4, which like my friend bought that game on my Steam account, so we could do it for a video, like so we could do it like release day.
Nice.
And I mean, we didn't get that many views because YouTube algorithms and apocalypse, but like still, no, that shit that was an adventure. There was definitely a moment where I was trying to like take some shit off a person, and I accidentally grabbed their arm and turned the camera, and the human being like the ragdoll of the it was like post dramatic death too. Like this person died in a dramatic cutscene, and I was trying to take the shit off their body, and which Bethesda lets you do. And instead, I grabbed the person's arm, and I turned the camera, and the ragdoll went like flying across the screen.
Yeah, I mean, Bethesda's great at creating side quests and like worlds that are really interesting.
Yes. They definitely start with like a world map, and then they figure out how everything fits into it.
World map and side quests, they do really well. An actual narrative, and then the visuals are very weak points.
And bug testing.
Oh my! There's so many bugs. Like people are just like, oh, but it's so fun playing these with all these bugs. I'm like, I have played Skyrim several times where I get to a point where I reach a bug that literally breaks the game. I cannot progress further, and I just stop.
Oh. Yeah. That's a thing for Bethesda. I agree with you. I think people overhype Bethesda in the same way that they overhype Valve and Nintendo even. I think Nintendo gets overhyped in ways. It's like they've all got things that they do well, better than others. Mm-hmm. But they also all have their problems. I think Nintendo has this preoccupation with like thinking that they know better.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that another good like Valve doesn't care about players as much as they think they do, as much as they advertise they do. Like that article that went viral is a pretty good example of it. But I think that article sums up everything pretty well. Like they talk about how much they like players, but like, hey, I mean they like players just as much as everybody else as a source of income.
Yeah, and I will say that I think a lot of the love and respect for Skyrim, like Bethesda gets a lot of love and respect for Skyrim and the Fallout games because they were the first games to really make Western RPGs massive maps with massive side quests with really like intricate worlds. So like some had existed before, but they made it with like a much larger scale. Well,
I was going to say
them.
A lot. Well, I think part of it is the fact that they brought it into what I call the Bethesda game, because Bethesda really only makes one game.
Yes.
Just with different skins.
Skyrim and Fallout are identical except you have guns.
Yeah. Like by mapping, because like the original Fallout was like this isometric like top-down thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So by making it quote unquote mainstream, by making it the Bethesda game where you're in first person and stuff,
yeah,
that increased the
Played
popularity.
in third person.
I would too if I played them.
It made me so sick
trying to do melee in first person. Let's have a conversation about melee combat in first person.
It's terrible.
It doesn't work. It's ineffective. You don't know how far your hits reach.
Yeah, it's terrible.
And like it's hard to tell what part of that swing arc is the hit.
Yeah. Because
first person, like it doesn't do, like those engines for first person games are not built with the same kind of like brawling, let's call them spices, because they're what give the game flavor. Mm-hmm. So they're not built with the same flavor, spices in the engine that something like Arkham is. Where that stuff we talked about earlier this recording session, where in a brawler like this, when you hit something, the game freezes for like 3 frames mm-hmm. to like give that impact, more punch.
Yeah.
But first-person engines are not built for that, so you don't know what point in your swing you're hitting.
Yeah.
You'll never know what point in your swing you're hitting. And you'll never know how far, also because, like, you know, the animation in first person is not actually what's happening in the game world. Mm-hmm. You don't know, like, you know, how far your swings are reaching, how close you have to be to hit the enemy.
That causes a lot of issues with me.
Yeah.
Because I miss a lot of strikes. I'm just a swing.
Especially stuff like in Half-Life, the face huggers.
Yeah.
The fucking face huggers in Half-Life. Try and hit those things with the crowbar. Like, you'll spend the first half of the game doing that. Once you get a gun, it's like, well, now I never have to hit anything with the crowbar again. And like, I spent all that time learning how to work this complicated, ridiculous, broken engine.
To only never have to do it again.
Exactly. And I hate it!
Yeah, and also, like, just Bethesda games, like, this is going to be...
The Bethesda game.
The Bethesda game, you know, don't look good. Like, the world's environments look interesting.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
And, like, Skyrim, like, when it came out...
They're good at inorganic textures, but not organic textures.
Yeah. Like, the detail they put into Skyrim and, like, how much they did for that, like, it looked really good.
It doesn't age well.
Back then, it does not age well, and they cannot do character animations.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
Like,
their character
animals
animations
look really stiff. Humans...
And they're prone to fucking up.
Humans are terrible. Like, they all look like mannequins, like blocky mannequins.
Yeah, it's really creepy.
And then, like, the first-person combat looks so bad. Like, it's not satisfying. Like, you're just swinging wildly, and then when you have magic, you're just extending a hand, and it kind of blows it. And then when people, like, I play it, and I'll be actually doing combat.
Quentin Flynn was in this. That's Axel. Got it memorized. Crispin Freeman's also in this.
Nice.
He's Winston. Did somebody say peanut butter? Anyway, as you were saying.
Those are my thoughts on Bethesda. They just, like, they're not, like, for me, they're not fun to play because there's the combat, there's no satisfaction from winning combat. Like, from top-down RPGs, like, the old Final Fantasies or, like, World of Warcraft, where, like, you don't get the satisfaction from hitting. At least the enemies are kind of difficult, and you have to...
They're difficult in other ways.
In,
like, these sort of...
a strategic way.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not so much for Skyrim. Like, you just go in and wail on shit and hope that you have enough health and your weapons are leveled up enough and that you're leveled up enough. Otherwise, you just go in and get lit up. Like, if you want to play a single player...
Oh, dude, Fred Tatasciore is in here.
He's in everything, dude.
Yeah, that's true.
If you're wondering... Like we said, if you're wondering if Matt Mercer's in a game, he's in it.
He's in it.
If you're wondering if Fred's in it, he's in it. Yeah, just... He's in everything.
He's Soldier 76, and he's Caustic in Apex, which
he's in everything.
I want to talk about. I think it's slightly. I don't know how I feel about this. Whether I feel good or slightly cringe about this, but mostly like I just think it's hilarious that the only like straight up white man in Apex Legends is the one that gasses people to death.
That seems right. As a white man, I can confirm that's right.
Anyway. Oh man, these are some long credits.
This is a lot of people.
We've been like this episode has been going on for like this is gonna be like a long episode that nobody's gonna watch. I think we've summed up the basics of how we feel about this game. Mm-hmm. So you still think it's the best one?
Second best. I still put City up first, followed pretty closely by Origins, followed pretty closely by Asylum. Those three are really close, in my opinion. I think City's better because it did Origins first, and Origins was pretty much just a rehash of City. Okay. Origins beats out Asylum because I really love the Joker in this game.
Okay, fair.
Like when I first played it...
Yeah, we had the whole Joker discussion, yeah.
When I first played this and I saw that it was... Like, I was excited to see Black Mask. Like, oh, there's going to be another villain. And then it turned out to be Joker. At first, I was, like, really upset.
Did you really... Wait, hold on.
Let's just talk about that. But I was upset when I saw the Joker, so I wanted to see another Batman villain. And I'm like, Black Mask, he's kind of obscure, but he seems like he could be very threatening and very intimidating. Okay. So I was like, I'm kind of hyped for that. And he's got a cool design. Like, he had a really cool character design with the white pinstripe suit, the Black Mask. Yeah. He looks really cool. So I was looking forward to that. Then when the Joker came out, I'm like, oh, it's just another Joker game. Okay. And then I kept playing, and I'm like, this Joker's actually really good. Okay. I really like the show. Like you said, he's really expressive. I like that.
Yeah. That whole like thing when he straps himself down in the electric chair, it does like a little shimmy.
It does a little it's great. I love this Joker. I mean, Matt Hamill's always going to be the best Joker. No doubt.
Matt Hamill.
Mark Hamill, sorry. Matt Hamill's a
you're
UFC
exiled.
fighter.
You're exiled now.
Matt Hamill is a UFC fighter, and I don't like the fact that they did two M names with Hamill spelled, I'm pretty sure, the exact same way.
Really?
Yeah.
I think, oh my god, okay, like, tangent time. Do you remember when fucking Ted Cruz was, like, trying to be clever on Twitter, and he spelled Mark Hamill's name wrong.
Yes. Didn't work.
Yeah. Oh man.
But the Joker, I really like the Joker.
Fair enough.
I do like the look of the bat suit.
And as much as I dislike the as much as I hate this constant redoing of Killing Joke, I think this version of Killing Joke is the best that we've seen during when this came out, that period of
Yes.
Killing Joke fetishism.
Yes. It's the best because it doesn't just remake the Killing Joke. It
Yeah.
references
It walks you through it.
Yes.
That's the thing.
Yeah, and it's not a 2-hour long Killing Joke
Yeah.
adaptation. It's just
It's not correction. It's not a 1 hour long Killing Joke adaptation with a 30-minute in the beginning.
let's not talk about that. That didn't happen. No one wants to talk about. And
Next to talk about that.
Asylum is really close to third. It doesn't have any, like the side quests. I really like the side quests in this game that we
Yeah,
didn't
that's
get
true.
to.
Asylum has one side quest that's like find all this Riddler
They're
garbage.
so annoying.
And I will say this about Asylum: as much as I like the dungeons, as much as I like the dungeons, I don't like the fact that you have to backtrack all the way through them just to get all the Riddler shit.
Yes.
Like, a city, and I don't know about this because we didn't really pay attention to the Riddler stuff, but in City the dungeons are smaller, which means that even though you do have to go into them, you don't have to go through 12 rooms just to get all the stuff.
Yes. The dungeons are massive in Asylum.
Yeah.
Which
But that's because they're the main part.
Yes.
So like I guess this is a thing where it's not like you can really fix that problem without fundamentally changing the game.
Yeah.
But that is like a pro that Asylum has as a con that yeah.
But like those three are pretty close. Then Arkham Knight, as much as I love
Six
the
more
visuals,
vodka. Hold on. Character concepts by 6 more vodka. Is that what they said when they were doing crunch time to get this game out on time?
This game, I don't even remember if this game got like a big release. I think it just happened.
Yeah, that's kind of what I remember too.
It just kind of came out.
Yeah, it was not like
I do like it when
hugely hyped or
developers do that though. Like
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
Mortal Kombat 11.
Apex Legends.
Yeah,
Apex Legends.
That just dropped, and they're just like, oh, by the way, there's this really awesome.
By the
battle
way,
royale.
we made a battle royale.
But the fact that Mortal Kombat 11, like Mortal Kombat XL's been out for like 5 years now.
Damn.
Then like it's been out for a while, and then they dropped Mortal Kombat 11
Hey, look.
for like 4 or 5 months before it released at the Game of the Year awards. They're like, oh, by the way, we made a new Mortal Kombat game. It's pretty much done
Okay.
because they showed you a lot.
Huh. Okay. Okay. Here's the end credit scene.
Yep.
What happens? Okay, they just let him out. This is what's her name? For the Suicide Squad, right? Yeah.
That's it.
You run in here, or you.
I really wish they would do it.
I think she was wasted. I thought she was wasted in Suicide Squad. The character was. Anyway.
Amanda Waller is such an interesting character that they could do so many great things with her, and especially with Viola Davis.
Oh yeah, Viola. She was so good in that. Anyway, next time on the Nerdy Chinese Backlog, we'll be playing something different. So.
Look forward to that.
Yeah.